The first and perhaps biggest risk is outliving your money. Most people assume that they won't live past their mid-80s, but the reality is quite different. A 65-year-old today has a strong chance of living well into their 90s, and that means that your retirement savings may need to last 30 years or more. One of the biggest mistakes that I see is assuming that whatever amount of money you have today will be enough without factoring in inflation, rising healthcare costs, and market fluctuations. I have a client, let's call her Linda, who retired at 62 with what she thought was more than enough to live comfortably. But by her mid-70s, inflation and unexpected expenses took a much bigger toll than she had anticipated. So while she thought she had enough when she retired, she had to adjust her lifestyle to help make sure that her savings lasted as long as she needed them to. So how do you protect yourself against this risk? One, you can make sure that your retirement plan assumes a long lifespan. You want to plan for at least age 90 or beyond. Second, you want to create reliable income streams through things like pensions, annuities, and a well-planned Social Security strategy. And finally, you want to keep a portion of your portfolio invested in assets that are going to grow over time and give you some long-term growth, because inflation is just as big of a risk as market downturns. The next big risk is sequence of return risk. Many people think that as long as they're earning a good average rate of return over time, they're going to be okay. But what really matters is when you experience market losses. Market losses are going to happen invariably. We don't know, there are going to be bear markets, market corrections, losses will happen, but it's the sequence of those losses that ultimately matters for the long-term sustainability of your retirement plan. Imagine retiring right before a major market crash. If you're withdrawing money at this time, at the same time that your investments are losing value, you could permanently reduce your savings. Even if the market does recover later on, if you're drawing your accounts down while the market is down, that's going to have a long-term negative effect on your retirement plan. This happened to a lot of retirees in 2008. They had to sell their investments during a market downturn, and ultimately, a lot of them had to go back to work or had to survive on a lot less than they had anticipated before they retired. So again, how do you protect yourself against this loss? Well, one strategy is what's called a bucket strategy, and that's where you keep enough cash and conservative investments, say to weather 5 to 7 years worth of expenses so that you don't have to sell your stock investments during a market dip. Second, you want to diversify your investments. A well-balanced portfolio is going to reduce overall volatility and make you better able to weather these downturns. And finally, you want to be flexible with your withdrawals. Some years it might make sense to adjust how much you take out rather than selling at the worst possible time. So if the market is up, you might have more opportunity to draw from your accounts. But if the market's down, maybe that's a year where you don't spend quite as much or don't take that extra vacation that you had planned on. One of the biggest unknowns in retirement is healthcare. Many people assume that Medicare will cover everything that they need from a retirement healthcare costs standpoint, but it doesn't. Routine medical costs, prescription drugs, and long-term care can add up quickly, and if you don't plan, you can be caught off guard. A retired couple today is expected to spend over $315,000 on healthcare costs alone during retirement. And that doesn't include long-term care, which can cost well over $100,000 per year per person. A client of mine, Jim, had a solid retirement plan, but never thought that he would need long-term care. So in order to make sure that he was covered in this respect, we factored in some long-term care expenses that were going to occur at the end of his retirement to make sure that if that eventuality did happen, he was going to be covered and we knew how those costs were going to be paid for. So the best way to protect yourself is to, for one, if you can't self-insure, consider long-term care insurance or hybrid policies that combine life insurance with long-term care benefits. Second, you want to build healthcare costs into your retirement budget, including potential Medicare surcharges if your income is too high. And finally, if you have access to a health savings account before retirement, use it. HSA funds grow tax-free and can be a great tool for covering medical expenses later on. Inflation is one of the biggest threats to retirees. Over time, the cost of everything is going to go up. What costs $5,000 per month today could easily cost $8,000 or more in the future. If you just factor in a 3% annual inflation rate, prices are going to double every 24 years. That means that the same retirement budget that feels comfortable today may feel much tighter 2 decades from now. In order to protect against this risk, you'll want to invest in assets that historically outpace inflation. things like stocks and real estate, not just have everything in cash or very conservative investments. Second, you want to make sure that a portion of your income adjusts with inflation. Social Security does this, but many pensions and annuities do not adjust for inflation. And finally, avoid holding too much cash in low-yield accounts. Over time, inflation is going to erode the value of money sitting in very low interest-earning accounts, so where possible, try to get extra cash invested in at least something like a CD or other investments that are going to appreciate quicker. Unfortunately, taxes don't go away in retirement. In fact, they become a lot more complicated. Many retirees assume they'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. But if most of your money is in tax-deferred accounts like IRAs or 401ks, required minimum distributions can push you into a higher tax bracket later on in retirement. Social Security can also be taxed if your total income crosses a certain threshold. On top of that, Medicare premiums can increase if your income is too high based off of what's called the IRMA, the income-related monthly adjustment amount. So to protect against this, you might want to consider Roth conversions before your RMDs kick in. This lets you move money into tax-free accounts that are not subject to RMDs while your taxes are lower. Second, you want to be strategic about the withdrawals that you're taking, mixing taxable, tax-deferred, and tax-free income to manage your tax brackets efficiently throughout retirement. And third, work with a financial planner who understands tax-efficient retirement strategies that can help mitigate your tax implications across your entire retirement. One of the most overlooked risks is retiring without a clear plan for how you'll spend your time and money. Many retirees are excited for the first year or two, but then reality sets in. Without a purpose or structure, some people find themselves bored, restless, or even struggling with their identity after leaving the workforce. Ultimately, this can lead to overspending, filling that time with expensive travel or unnecessary purchase, or simply feeling unfulfilled. The best way to protect yourself against lifestyle risk is to think strategically about how you want to spend your time, whether it's travel, hobbies, volunteering, or family. Having a plan makes a huge difference. Make sure your financial plan aligns with your lifestyle goals. A great retirement isn't just about money. It's about what that money allows you to do and how you enjoy it. Finally, stay engaged, whether it's part-time work, consulting, or joining community groups. Having a sense of purpose makes retirement much more rewarding than not. Retirement is about more than just having a big savings account. It's about security, freedom, and knowing you're set up for the long run. Strategic planning for things like longevity, market downturns, healthcare, inflation, taxes, and lifestyle changes can help you retire with confidence. If you want a personalized strategy to protect your retirement, let's talk. Click the link below to schedule a call. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's planning for retirement as well. I'll see you in the next video.